I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on Treaty 6 territory and the Métis homeland, the traditional meeting place of First Nations, Métis and Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose culture continues to enrich our community. So welcome to the latest Verna's vlog. I'm really excited to be here today with Dr. Carrie Smith, who's our new Vice Provost for EDI. This is a really important position. For me, when I came into the university, I just felt that we needed to have a stronger presence of EDI, not only within our faculty and staff, but obviously within our students and everything that we do. So Carrie is a leader in EDI within the University of Alberta, and so I'm so delighted, Carrie, that you took on the role. So Carrie, I don't know that everybody knows you and where you're from, and maybe just tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure, I'd love to do that. Thanks, Verna. My name, as you said, is Carrie Smith. My pronouns are she, her. And we like to, those of us in the work, doing the work of equity, diversity, and inclusion, anti-racism work, often position ourselves based on who we are, our identities, and how we understand ourselves. And that is really important because it sets the stage and the story for our backgrounds and how we come to the work and how we relate to one another. So I am a white settler, scholar, and administrator. I identify as queer and disabled. And that last piece took a long time for me to get to. I was a March of Dimes poster child when I was 9 years old. And yet, I only started using the term disabled last year. And what that says to me, and that journey that I've been on, is that this work personally and for the institution is always a journey. It's never over. We will always be interrogating who we are and who we wish to be with one another together in relation for the entirety of our lives, and it changes throughout. So that is where I come from. That is who I identify as. In terms of scholarship, I come from the Faculty of Arts as an administrator in the Faculty of Arts prior to, and that gives me the background in understanding the breadth of disciplinary diversity. We talk about diversity in many ways at this institution, and one way is discipline, where people come from, where their passions are in terms of research and scholarship. And it's been very exciting to learn more about the rest of campus and the diversity of fields and disciplines and passions here.
So Carrie, when we chatted about, we had lunch.
We did.
Gentle arm twisting, again, there's a theme here, but when we chatted about the role, what was it that excited you the most? Like, what was it about the position that really made you want to be a Vice Provost of EDI?
What excited me the most is that you, in your role as Interim Provost, building on a long lineage of work that really reaches back into the 90s and even earlier on this campus, to take that courageous step to pull it all together and make it visible. We have such expertise on campus. Whether we're talking student expertise, whether we're talking our heavy-hitting researchers, Canada Research Chairs, whether we're talking staff expertise in dealing with students day to day, we have a wealth of expertise. But often that work goes unnoticed. And so that is what excited me the most, bringing the work together, bringing people into conversations, and moving the work forward in a deeply committed way as an institution to look at our structures and systems and ensure that that we are doing better for the future, the students and scholars we have here.
It's one of the things I noticed when I sort of came back to the university, and I visited every single faculty and met with a lot of people. And as you said, Carrie, like, we have so much strength in EDI, and what was really surprising to me was that it wasn't, as you said, visible. And I think that's one of the reasons why we created the position, was to make it visible and make it meaningful. And, action speaks louder than words, and we need to be purposefully active in this area. So you've got a few portfolios within EDI. Maybe just share with the group what they are.
Yes, absolutely. So right now, I often like to call it sort of three buckets that I have, and I'm gathering. I anticipate gathering buckets along the way. But right now, under the EDI portfolio, I have what is really the supports and systems and operations that support students, staff, and faculty on this campus experiencing oppression, experiencing sexual violence, sexual and gender-based violence, and who need supports from offices that are places where they can feel that they may remain anonymous if that's what they wish, supported by good policy. And so those are Helping Individuals at Risk and the Office of Safe Disclosure and Human Rights. So that's one piece. And to some people may think, well, why is that under EDI? It is because equity is at the basis of that work, recognizing the importance of equity and human rights individually and in terms of legislation and policy. That is the core of what those folks do. So there's that piece. And then there is a piece that's very much about initiatives, moving this campus forward. When you were just talking about drawing the work together and making the excellence visible, it's also, when you do that, you also make the barriers visible and you also make the gaps visible. And that is where we can really together as an institution make change. And so that's another piece of my portfolio. And then I have, I would say the third piece of that puzzle, I guess, is building community. And by that, I mean making spaces to generate conversation to figure out where the next work should go. And I'm really excited about initiatives that will be upcoming in that regard to bring folks together.
Is there anything that you wanted to highlight in terms of the next, let's say, 1 to 2 years about what you're wanting to do for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple pieces, because I'm coming into this position. I'm 4 weeks in at the moment as we're having this conversation. And because the work has been ongoing and gaining momentum, I have to say, from my experience doing this work in the Faculty of Arts as the EDI lead 2 years ago, when I started talking to folks, no departments had EDI committees. Now every department has an EDI committee, and that's only 2 years on. Just imagine the transformation across the institution. So I am coming into work that is already ongoing. And so one of the key pieces of my role is to help support those who are bringing projects to fruition. The report, the progress report, which is called Stories from the Field, which will be coming out soon. That is, of course, a progress report on the EDI strategic plan and all the work that's been done over the past years since its launch in 2019. Also bringing together training modules that are in progress. Those should be coming out very soon. So these are pieces of work in the portfolio that have happened. But looking forward, there are, of course, exciting changes on the horizon. We have the inaugural Provost Fellow in Black Excellence and Leadership, held by Andy Knight. And I'm very excited to be working with Andy on advancing the work, not only towards combating anti-Black racism and advancing Black excellence and inclusion, but also integrating racial justice principles into everything we do. So that's a piece that I'm looking forward to. And another piece that I look forward to on the horizon is building a Council on Systemic Ableism, which is an initiative that is coming in the new year. That will work towards very deliberate conversations and actions to address systemic ableism on campus and increase conversations around disability and accessibility.
So really exciting. This conversation is getting me excited about all the things that are possible. So Carrie, you're kind of at the end of the interview. Was there anything you wanted to leave with the audience? Anything else that you wanted to say?
I guess I would just say, this work, and this is for all those of you doing this work, it does often go unnoticed, and it's hard. The past 2+3 years of the pandemic, particularly since the murder of George Floyd, since the ongoing discoveries and conversations around residential schools and the findings there that we knew were there. This work is heavy, and it can be hard, and it can be personally hard. But it can also be joyful. And I think that is where I really want to go, is encourage us to recognize the barriers, recognize the hard, and acknowledge it, while also encouraging the celebration and the joy that this work does bring, and hopefully that's something we can do together.
Thanks very much, Carrie. We're just in the process of getting feedback on the university strategic plan. And one of the questions that we're actually asking our external stakeholders is what can the university advance and be like in 20 years' time? Well, my dream is that in 20 years' time, we won't need to have the EDI as an item that we need to focus on, that EDI is embedded in everything that we do, and that it's just the state of being. That's what I would hope in 20 years. So thank you so much, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership and for taking on this role, and I look forward to providing progress with our community and our audience. Thank you.
Thank you.